Hello everyone, welcome. I'm here at the park, route to start my morning walk, but I want to do a quick video for you guys. This will be a little video blog. I'm going to be responding to a recent stream over at the Gamble Smart YouTube channel. This is a response to Marc's story, as you've seen in the title. And I'm going to be discussing it, summarizing it, and giving my thoughts, as well as a little story of my own. So what happened here? So we're going to go ahead and just do a quick summary here first. If you see me looking down on my, throughout the video, if you see me looking down, it's because I have my notebook here. I'm just reading off my notes. So what's happened? So for those of you who may not know, Marc is from the YouTube channel Gamble Smart. He previously worked with Brantley of Cowboy Slots for about a year and a half, dishing out educational content on slot machines. A lot of you guys have come from that channel, so you would assume a lot of you guys know who he is at this point already. But for those of you who don't know, that there's a quick introduction there. So what has happened? So on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, he went live along with Dave at Gamble the Globe and gave his story on what happened in his most recent trip to Vegas. And I'm going to summarize it right here. I look at my notes here. He said he basically went on tilt, is the best way to describe it. He broke many of the rules that he's been teaching, including, let's see, he lost quickly, and he did not take enough breaks between his sessions, spent the entire budget in one day, and even broke one of his big rules of taking money out of the ATM to chase losses. And it was a downhill spiral, and it would have likely, based on his words, it would have been worse had he not have a limit on his ATM card. So it's so I wanted to make this video because there's a lot of things to learn, some lessons, and I also wanted to make this video because I wanted to give myself my own little personal audit of myself, because if this can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. And so a good reflection on this, not just for me, but also for you, if you're watching this. I think it's important that you do a little reflection yourself as well. So I'm going to go ahead and discuss my personal audit. So this is something I've been really thinking about the night before. So now, if you want to listen to the whole story, they did just release the stream as its own video. I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, let's get started. So my personal audit, I am glad to say that it has been a long time since I did anything that I consider to be really stupid when it comes to, say, budgeting or, rule breaking or anything like that. The last thing that I could remember was about 10 years ago, and I wrote down here 2013. I was in Vegas for a conference. I went with a friend. It was actually one of my first times going to traveling anywhere as an adult without my parents. I was actually 21 at that time. The only thing I really did then that I definitely would not do today would be just taking money out of an ATM machine at the casino. That was the one and only time where I've done that. So that wasn't that big of a deal. I did lose, but it wasn't gut-wrenching or anything like that. It was actually a pretty good trip just for experience-wise. So that was the least of my issues. But the year prior to that, 2012, this was a big one, and I can certainly feel the frustration in Marc when and it brought a little bit of memories of this one here. But so back in 2012, that was the year that I was starting to take online poker a lot more seriously, or poker in general, and I was starting to learn the game a lot more. But at this point, I've had a little bit of experience under my belt through through being invited to home games of my dad's coworkers before I was even 18 years old at that point. So that was like the only real money experience I had at that point. I had a little bit of online experience and a little bit of live experience at a casino. On those that were 18 and over here where I live back at the time, because 2012 I wasn't even 21 yet. I turned it later that year, but there was a point. So that was 11 years ago. That I had a bad session at playing online poker. I had a bad session one day, and I ended up loading up the online blackjack table, chasing those losses only to lose the entire stack. So that's the bad memory that came back to me after watching Marc's video. So that was probably the worst experience I've had. I've probably had similar experiences when I was much younger playing simulated casino computer games. But in terms of my adult life, that's the only one I can recall that was very significant. It was back in 2012. It wasn't a lot of money, but you know, me playing micro stakes back then, and slowly building up my bankroll, that still hurt. I ended up recovering from that, but still, you know, bringing back that bad memory. But you know, it's a lesson learned as well, and it was mentioned in that video that all of us at some point will have that type of bad session, and it's in my opinion, it's better to have it while you're still young. So when you mature and become more wise, it doesn't hurt you later on in life when you are more likely to have a lot more assets or money under your or more savings and more disposable income in general. So yeah, so that's basically my personal audit. I've been going pretty good for the last 10 years. And especially this year. This year has been really good, really disciplined. So my last trip to Vegas, I mentioned, was back in June. And yeah, I did lose, but that was mostly because I budgeted for a big poker tournament. It was the World Series of Poker $600 freeze-out event. And, you know, the chances of surviving that is pretty slim, especially since I don't have that much World Series of Poker experience at this point. But I did pretty good given the circumstances, and I had a small budget also for other casino games, and you know, I didn't dip into an ATM or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I walked back with a little bit more because the last couple of days of that trip I did have some winning sessions, so that was fortunate. And then later on this year, we had that one trip to Grayton Casino during Labor Day weekend, where I hit $250 straight flush, and then I used the winnings there as part of my budget for Reno in October, where I definitely had a big budget for live poker, for some cash game. That was good, and I limited my play. I limited my play when it comes to other games, like ironically enough, it was Double Diamond where I did the worst during that Reno trip. I was not able to do anything there, even though it was like the lowest volatile slot machine you could find. I had a good brief session in pinball, but that was basically it when it comes to slots. Video poker, I was basically even, and then the live poker session was my bread and butter. One there, and that was where the bulk of my winnings were. So that was a good trip. So everything's been disciplined, especially the past year, and I'm really, really proud of that. So that leaves me to the last part of this video, where I want to discuss a little bit about time preference. So I want a little bit of an educational material. So you might have heard the term time preference. So what is that? The difference between having high time preference and low time preference. So what is this about? So I'll look at my notes here. So we live in an economy with rampant consumerism. I mean, you've seen it on TV. You've seen it everywhere. You've probably felt this way too. So, you know, you got credit cards, mortgages, home equity loans, payday loans, buy now and pay later plans. Got to get that new iPhone, that new TV, etc., etc. So that's basically an example of high time preference. And you know, you want to get something, or you want something, you want to feel something, and you want it now. That's basically what it is. Having pleasure now is essentially what having high time preference is. You got to have it now. And gambling, I would consider, especially, as an example of high time preference. I mean, if you listen to Marc's story, he was really excited to play that new top dollar grand, you know. And so that's like, I gotta play it now, you know. So that's high time preference right there. And if you're not careful, it could hurt you. So now the opposite of that is low time preference. So this is like savings, you know, saving money, investing. And it doesn't have to be investing in like the market. It can be investing in yourself. You could read a book and learn something new. You could educate yourself. So that's a form of low time preference. Learning a new skill, for example. Sacrificing today for a better tomorrow, or a better year, or 5 years, or, you know, it's a long-term thinking, essentially, is what having low time preference is. You're not thinking about the here and now. Pretty much, yeah, the complete opposite. So I want to, you know, address that, because I think it's important to have, especially if you're a gambler, a casino patron, like all of you, I assume, who watch my videos. It's important to actually start developing a low time preference. And you can still, you know, gambling is entertainment. You can still go to the casino and have a low time preference. Like, maybe instead of going to the casino every week or every day, or, you know, maybe reduce it to like once a month, and use the time in between to save money, you know, do a little bit of sacrifice, do something else with your time, especially if you've recently had such a huge losing streak like Marc did in that story. It'd be a good idea to maybe have some discipline, save for a bit, and then have a bigger budget for the few trips you do have. That maybe it'll be more enjoyable, and maybe that also, you know, maybe Dave can chime in here, but he can, but maybe that'll also result in, possibly because you're playing more for fewer days, maybe you're more likely to get comps or offers by that casino, more so than if you go more times and spend less. But I don't know that. That's something that Dave could comment on if he wants to. But yeah, this also leads me to one interesting question, because this is fascinating, to be honest. And this is the question that I have, is that do casino players that break their own budget rules, or they don't have any rules, or have poor money management skills at the casino, do they also have these poor money management skills outside of the casinos? Is there a correlation? Is there a correlation between that and one's personal finances? Or is it not correlated at all? Or rich people or successful business owners also, are they also liable to having this? Is it just the casino environment, you know, the sounds of Vegas, you know? you know, and all the emotions that go with it. Because, you know, I've heard many times as well that the emotions can take you over, even the strongest willed. So, you know, that's an interesting question. I am definitely, you know, I definitely would want to know, or am I missing something completely? You know, and maybe that's not true at all. I'd like to see what you guys say in the comment section. If you want to share anything, it's totally up to you. I respect anyone's privacy that doesn't want to comment. That's perfectly fine. And it also begs the question if you'd like to see more videos on just budgeting in general, whether or not it has to do with casino gambling at all. I know you guys liked a few months ago the budget video for video poker. That one was really popular. So I wonder if more budgeting type content would be useful to you guys. So we discussed high and low time preference. That's something that I think is also is pretty important too. So I want you guys to let me know in the comment section if this is something that's if there's topics like this that you want to either learn more about, or if you've got something to share regarding this. You know, we'll see what we do going forward as we get into the holidays and into the new year. But I'm gonna go ahead and end it off right here. We're about 16, almost 17 minutes into the video. I don't want to make this too long, but these are just my thoughts. And Mark, if you're watching this, I wish you the best of luck with your new plan that you're implementing. Please, absolutely let me chime in with me privately on how it's going. I definitely want to keep in touch with that. But for the rest of you guys, if you enjoyed this little video blog and you've learned something, definitely support it by hitting the like button. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. I do weekly videos on video poker every Friday, though I'm releasing this video on a Friday in replacement of my normal video poker content, so you'll have to wait till next week. If you're watching this the day of its release, you're gonna have to wait till next week for the next video, since this was pretty important for me to make. And then on every Thursday evening, I go live with a online poker home game that I host. That's completely free and for fun. You can check out the channel for some of the previous streams if you want to learn more on how to join yourself. Share this video with others. It's definitely important, and I will also be sharing with a link in the description the full video that with Marc's interview. And be sure to also hit the bell icon to be notified once I release a new video. All right, guys, I will see you guys for the next one. Take care and go make it happen.